Unfortunately, this time I don't really have many generic things to talk about, since I found something very interesting in my playthrough. So I'll be mostly talking about that and then finishing uh, whatever needs to be in terms of the third chapter. And before that, I have just a little bit to talk about um, what I search for in a video game, what matters to me, and also how I would like to express myself when making these videos. So I'll start with the second thing, um, which is that I'd like my best to become more eloquent, to significantly expand my vocabulary, uh, since I think that I have a decent enough ability to express myself, not in just simple sentences in my native language, and I would like to project that ability into English as well, and namely spoken English. I think I am able to do that in written form, but um, just talking, that's completely different universe for me for now. So hopefully that will improve with time. Now for the games, what I'm looking for, I just want to have fun. So the only thing that matters to me um, is for the game to be able to bring me joy. Um, as I've mentioned before, I'm not really into uh, any kind of hardcore drama, so those type of storylines, they don't really interest me much. On the other hand, what I absolutely don't care about are graphics. For me, those are completely irrelevant, no matter how beautifully painted the package is. Uh, if what's inside is just unsatisfactory, uh, it doesn't matter. And for me, that's probably the biggest problem current era games have. I'm not saying obviously that all of them suffer from this issue, but uh, as you may have noticed over these few videos, 20 years old game brings me enough entertainment for days, contrary to something that might look photorealistic, but the story, the writing, the characters, uh, the something like aura the game has, if that all's lacking, no matter what you do with motion capture or how perfectly modeled are all the characters, if what's inside is meaningless, then all the effort that has been put into the code on it is just not worth it. So yeah, that was a small talk about that. I'll probably go back to this at some point, and now I have experienced something new in Neverwinter Nights, as I've mentioned before. This time it's a rather large side quest, that spends pretty much the entirety of the second chapter. It's um, a bounty hunt for some escaped prisoners. Um, as always, there are more than one ways to finish this quest. You get to talk to these prisoners before you either decide to execute them or spare them, and some of them have actual stories that you can listen to, and then depending on either your alignment in game or what you think is right in real life, you can just make the decision. And when you finish four of them, the fifth one appears. And the initial premise for this fifth prisoner is that he kidnaps the daughter of the person that gave you the quest. You can meet that said daughter prior to this quest, prior to this kidnapping, and you can have some interesting conversation with her. She appears to be somewhat a naive, uh, wannabe adventurous girl that's been living in this uh, port with pretty much nothing to do, no new people to meet. So when you appear, you are painted as some sort of new light that's shown into their into her life, and she flirts with you a little bit. You can flirt back. I'm guessing if you are a male protagonist, but you also can get to a branch of this conversation where she basically demands gold for equipment so that she can follow you on your adventures. And if you agree, then she raises the amount she wants, and she does that till you snap and are no longer able to agree with the reason number, even if you have that number in your inventory. And then she gets angry and refuses to talk to you any longer. And then you get to the kidnapping part. You track down the escaped prisoner and beat him up until he gives up, and then you can talk to him. First thing he mentions is that the girl is not what she seems to be. That it was actually all her plan, and that uh, you that he was just someone she used to in order to fake her kidnapping and then proceed to extract money from the port lost citizens. But then, if you dig a little bit deeper and pass a persuasion check, um, you get out of him that um, he um, got her drunk, and there is implied assault and the kidnapping. Once you pass the check, you can then kill him and dodge any evil alignment rise in points. On the other hand, if you kill him before the persuasion check, you actually get a penalty points towards evil for doing so. But then you get to interact with the kidnapped girl, also frightened, obviously. Uh, but there was something hidden that I've never experienced before, that I've never found before, because it was just such a bizarre idea. I would have never done that on any of my playthroughs. but if you decide for some reason to attack her, she drops a journal that's called a real journal of uh, Sheldrisa Dorothea, or whatever her name is pronounced, and there she actually writes all the stuff that the orc said prior to the persuasion check, aka she planned all this, she wanted money, she wanted to extract money. I've tried to scour the internet for a little bit of extra context or the ideas that other players may have. Some say that this journal was a defense mechanism after something traumatic. Some say that it's just an unfinished quest because the original campaign was pretty much unfinished, very unfortunately, or not exactly unfinished, but rushed quite a lot. And to me, it would sound plausible, the first option, if the first encounter with her wasn't there in the game, that she tried to extract as much money as possible, or basically nothing. So it just struck me that a 20 years old game had a quest such like that, where you can just take it at a face value. 5 prisoners escape, you bring back 5 ears cut from their bodies once you are done with them, or you get to listen to their stories. Not all of them, some of them are just plain evil. Some of them fully deserved to be in the prison, no matter what they say. But then the conclusion is so empty. You can't even deliver the journal. You can't show it to the quest giver. So that first supports the idea that it's not finished, the quest, since the journal isn't even treated as a quest item because all these quest items that you get in one chapter, they disappear once you finish that chapter and move on to the next one. So this one doesn't disappear. So it's very interesting quest. It just made me question quite a lot of things, and I would have loved to be able to interact with the person that wrote that quest. What was the main purpose? What was the correct solution? What were the meanings behind these? And especially the real journal, since you can only obtain that if you attack the kidnapped girl. So yeah, I thought this was extremely interesting for me again, and worth talking about. But the video is already quite long, so I'm guessing that the story will have to wait for the next one. So that's about it for today.